fishermen wending their way to the fishing grounds. Early in the season, the snow is soft and the ice is clear. But with the freezings and thawings that take place in January and February, slush forms on the ice and the top freezes, making walking difficult at best. Just what goes on in those ice shanties, the little buildings that dot the ice on many inland lakes? Mike Copenhaver from Ludington keeps his shanty locked because he stores a lot of gear inside. Not particularly valuable gear to the average person, but valuable when you want to spend a day spearing northern pike. The rug is extra insulation, blocks the light from the cracks around the door. You need a dark shanty for best visibility down into the water. You also need a warm shanty, and an LP gas bottle should always be hooked up outside, just in case there's a gas leak around the hose. You can see already that an ice shanty is designed for comfort. Not at all like fishing in the open. The wind and snow are of no consequence to a shanty fisherman. Mike hands out some of the gear we can't keep inside if we're going to have room for the camera. An ice spud, a shovel for packing snow around the base of the shanty, box of miscellaneous gear, and buckets to sit on for fishing outdoors. The floor of the shanty is a false floor. Covers up the big rectangular hole that was probably cut with a chainsaw. From a hook in the ceiling hangs the minnow bucket. Now that cord goes through a hole in the floor. These minnows stay under the ice for days at a time. They're bait for tip-ups outside, sometimes used as bait or decoys to attract pike under the shanty for spearing. Mike passes the bucket outside. We'll set a few tip-ups for Bob Garner and Mike as OJ and I sit in the shanty to see if we can't photograph some northern pike. In the UP, these shanties are called shacks. Some places they're called fish coops. The names aren't great, but these little buildings sure are comfortable. No matter what the temperature is outside, inside the gloves come off, the jackets come off. In an organized shanty like Mike Copenhaver's, everything has its place for comfort, convenience, and practicality. The real business end of spearing is those 6 sharp points with barbs. The Indians carved spears out of wood or bone, a form of gathering fish for food in the winter that's as old as time. A North American heritage that's practiced on lakes all over the North. But from the outside, you wouldn't have any idea what's going on inside these buildings on the lakes. To lure a pike under the shanty, wooden decoys are a tradition, but Mike had a wall full of conventional lures. What about all these spoons? You use these?
Okay, we use these spoons, Fred, just as an attractor to get the fish into the hole. You know, once they're in the hole, then the spirit is the rest. But while you take this one, this is called a marathon spoon with a little rattle deal on the end. It's just a noise factor. You can actually hear it clatter down there, and I'm convinced that some of the northerns are attracted by the noise.
Now, the northerns ever hit these?
Oh, yes, they'll come in sometimes and strike them.
Okay, but do you catch them?
It's pretty hard to control a northern when you don't have a drag system on a stationary line, you know.
So you try all these things. What is this?
That's a ripple stock yuck zipper that we use out for salmon fishing, but it's...
So these are salmon lures. Okay, now what about this here?
This is a story in itself here.
Yeah?
I had a fellow that was fishing quite close to me one year, and he was constantly bugging me about what I was getting my fish on. So I went home and I made this thing up. I brought it to the lake, and the next time he come to the door and was quizzing me, I said, well, take this. This is what I'm seeing all my fish on. So he took it and jigged it for the whole day, and he never said anything. So actually, I made it as a joke. One day when things were slow out here, and I was just horsing around, I put it down, and I speared about a 4-pound northern, believe it or not, come in on it. So I guess anything will work that's got a little flash to it.
Now, what about using live minnow, a live sucker minnow?
Okay.
Does a live minnow work better than these hand-carved
My
decoys?
personal preference in the clear, shallow water, I prefer the wooden decoy. I think more movement, flashier action. I see more fish on the artificial line. Mike Copenhaver is not just a fisherman, but he's one of a growing number of fish decoy carvers. Now, this is a true form of North American folk art. 6 or 8 inches long, painted different colors, but balanced with metal or wooden fins so they turn in a circle under the shanty. These fish decoys represent a lot of time and a lot of enjoyment to Mike. Made with his own hands, they're more fun to use. Now, here's one of his favorites. He says this one attracts a lot of pike, so I clip it to the line that's looped through an eye hook in the ceiling. The decoy hangs by this line, and to make it move, you yank the cord in small jerks. That's not difficult.
and it gives you something to do while you're waiting for a pike. As we look down into the hole after shutting the door, we can see the bottom, and OJ and I begin to see some small fish.
It went right under you. Now there's a bluegill right straight down here, but it's small. You see it right down there? It's right.
Yeah, I see it.
I think that's a gill.
Yeah, that's.
Oh God, there's perch moving off to the under the sides of the holes. You know what we need is a setup of mirrors. Somebody's got to come with those big round mirrors they have in the stores, you know, check for shoplifters. We'll put a couple of those down here.
Yeah, unless you get your face down to the water, you can't see under the edges of the hole in the ice. It's a little frustrating.
That's probably plenty. Yeah,
Oh,
whoa.
wait a minute, I just picked up the perch.
Yep,
You can see how well that perch is camouflaged with the bottom.
just moving slow.
With body temperatures in the 30s, these fish are slow.
I'd like to see him dart out of here because that'd mean a pike is coming.
It wasn't long after the perch swam off that a northern pike came into the decoy, the first pike I had seen while spearing.
Here he comes. I got him. Don't I? I missed. Holy cow.
Well, Trost, you bungled that one, got pike fever and made a lousy throw. Later, I tried a wigglewort lure, that white spot on your right, and I got another chance.
Oh, you see it? Yeah. Okay, I gotta get the spear.
But this pike didn't seem to like the decoy.
I hope he comes back. Come back, Mama. Come on. See him swimming off. Doggone it. I wonder if I missed my chance. Oh, my heart's thumping again.
It's amazing how excited you can get, and a minute later, that pike came back.
Oh, you got it. Okay. Oh, up and left. I'll get this one this time. You see him now? Yeah, he should come in slow, I hope. Can you see him now? Yeah, I can see him.
Well, the camera could see him, but he was at an angle, and all I could see was his nose.
Doggone it, move in there, guy.
In the winter, fish move so slowly it drives you crazy.
Doesn't look like he's hungry, does he?
No, just curious.
Can you see the spear?
Yeah.
I can't tell you how my heart is thumping. Doggone it, get in here. I wonder if I should take a poke at him. Doggone it all. I wonder if he'll be back. I wonder if I should have taken a poke at him there.
No, I did the right thing. I didn't have a clear shot. Always better to pass it up. Later, the light was out. You can hear me throw the spear, and the action began.
He's swimming to the left.
I had to get him. Flip it on, I got him. Okay. Ooh, he's pulling a little bit here too. He's not a bad one. Let me get the door open so I can. Okay. You ready?
Yep.
Oh, he's not bad. Look, he's taking the spear clear down here.
It was a big one, I can see it.
Oh, I tell you, thump, 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 my heart. Okay. Yeah, he's fighting. He's fighting. Oh, I got him speared good through the back. Here he comes. Oh, whoops, I just about snapped the decoy off here. And there he is.
At long last, my first pike with a spear. To retain its flavor and freshness, we bury it in the snow alongside the shanty. Fillet out the bones, it's going to make a great recipe. The next time you see spearing shanties dotting a lake, you'll understand the quiet dramas that take place inside, in the dark, in Michigan outdoors. But you know, the main thing in fishing is having hooks that are sharp enough to penetrate the fish's mouth. You know, the emphasis we put on setting the hook. Well, if you look at this mock-up, this demonstration hook, the end of it is bent over. Well, this can happen in small hooks as well, which makes penetration when you set the hook that much more difficult. How do you solve that? With a hook sharpener. Bing McClellan developed one that can save anglers a lot of time. The man honing this hook by hand is Captain Mark Martin, who says sharp hooks helped nearly 75 of his customers last year land Stroh's Award walleye. Losing less fish with sharp hooks is something that caused Bing McClellan from Traverse City to come up with an automated sharpener.
Look at that.
Probably takes an average fisherman maybe 30 seconds, a minute maybe, to sharpen a hook.
1 point.
1 point on one hook, which might take, 5 minutes to sharpen all the hooks here. And of course, they can easily get damaged on rocks,
Right.
snags.
Absolutely.
You came up with an invention how to sharpen all these in 30 seconds.
Well, it's a very simple tool. It's called a hook honer, and that's indeed exactly what it is. It hones the hooks rather than grinds metal off as hones or sharpeners or files type would.
Is this because you spend so darn much time fishing? And sharp hooks are really the key to catching a lot of fish.
That's right. That's one of the few things, aside from motherhood, you can't argue about.
That's right. This little gizmo, interesting, you have the prototype here. It was developed, what, a year ago?
1987, January 14th was the first time I saw it. I had commissioned a guy about a year earlier to try to mechanically give me a perfect hook point, one that is lapped and polished instead of sharpened with a file.
The funny thing that fishermen don't realize, or anglers, that when you have light line, like 2-pound test line that I've been fishing with today, the strength of that knot is probably closer to 1 pound than 2 pounds. So when you go to set the hook on a fish, you're pulling actually with less than 1 pound of force.
Right.
And even if you're using 6-pound test, you're probably pulling, most you can get out of it is 2 pounds of force. Now, how often, though, should you really sharpen your hook? Say you catch a fish on it, or you get snagged. Would you sharpen it every time?
No. Good heavens, no.
How often?
I'd just do the thumbnail test every so often during the day I'm fishing. And if it skids on my thumbnail, I touch it up. Now,
Okay, show me that, dude, on your thumbnail, how you're gonna...
Well, a properly sharpened point. Let me get this thing tuned up here.
How hard are you pushing down on
Oh,
that?
not hard at all. You're just holding it in place. There's no... See?
That's right.
There's no secret to it,
Take a minute here, let's look at this prototype and see what happens inside this. This baby rotates around and buzzes.
Yeah, it's lapping the hook point back and forth 300 times a second while it rotates around the hook point 3 times a second.
So put the hook point there where it would be if we were sharpening this.
All right.
And it goes around, like that.
It orbits the hook point.
So now you have it sharpened. Now how do you know when it's the way you want it?
Well, take your fingernail or thumbnail, and if you can do that, and it doesn't skid off, just barely touch your hook point to your nail, and if it'll stick, it's sharp enough.
Stick right there. Whoa-wee.
Yeah. Now try one of the other hooks that hasn't been sharpened.
Okay, and you can tell by looking at them that they don't have... If they've been sharpened, they're real silver. Look at that. I can't even get that factory point.
Right.
Well, that's kind of...
That's a brand new Rapala right out of the box.
I cannot dig that into my fingernail. I can scratch with it, and it feels sharp, and it hurts.
And it looks sharp.
And it looks sharp, but it doesn't do what this one does, catching on the fingernail. Wow.
Our mutual friend, Emil Dean, ran some tests on us with a prototype last year. And if there's anything harder to do is because sharp hooks make more importance in downrigger fishing than anything.
Oh, yeah, because you're trolling.
You can't set the hook.
Yeah, the fish has to set it
for you.
Yeah.
And his hook catch versus line pop-off percentage went up 50% after he sharpened all the hooks.
50%, that makes it 50. I believe it when I sharpened just the hook on this lure, caught 2 fish in a row, bang, bang. They weren't slipping.
Yeah.
I think that does. If it can stick to your skin, stick to your fingernail, it's got to stick that much more inside a fish's mouth.
In fishing, there's only two things that are totally common: water and sharp hooks. Because a fisherman literally cannot fish without a hook. He cannot. He can fish fly fishing, he can fish spin casting, he can fish salt water, but he's got to have a hook. He's got to have water.
How did you... Bing McClellan certainly boiled fishing down to the basics. It doesn't matter if you use a battery-powered hook honer or if you use a diamond file to sharpen the points on your fish hooks, your success will increase if the points are sharp like a surgeon's needle. Mark Martin's success rate proved it, and when Emil Dean started using the battery-powered honer to keep the treble hook sharp on his lures, Emil's loss of fish because of hooking failures dropped in half. A significant lesson to all anglers.
All right. All right.
We received a different type of recipe, a salmon burrito from Dean Napier. And this is something I would have never ever dreamed of doing with salmon.
Salmon burrito?
Right. You're going to fry mushrooms and onion.
You
just
don't put
want
mushrooms in burritos either.
This one you do. And you could use canned here, but I think the fresh will make this recipe taste just a little bit
Broccoli?
better. Broccoli, shrimp soup, cream of shrimp soup. cheddar-
President Bush is not going to eat this.
No, not at all. And a little bit of cheddar cheese. And that's your filling. That's all there is in this filling. There's no salsa or anything in it, so it's quite mild. And you use canned salmon, and here there's some of the skin and the bones and everything else that the processors put in.
Yeah, but you really don't have to take that out, frankly.
No, the skin you do for just looks, but
if
the
somebody
bones
doesn't
is
watch
fine.
you, if somebody doesn't watch you put it together, you can leave it in there and it'll taste fine.
Right, but like I say, just for appearance, we're going to remove it. And then that just goes mixed into your filling with a little bit of garlic powder and dill and pepper. And then the shells, you just want to leave those on for just a couple seconds just to let them warm up, basically.
Well,
And-
the soft tortillas, the flour tortillas aren't really shells.
No. no.
They've gotten really popular, though. They've gotten, I think, more popular than the corn tortillas.
I
the
think
hard
so,
ones.
too. And then these are just folded over into a regular burrito.
And then try to pass it off as Mexican food.
Nothing Mexican to it. I mean, there is nothing Mexican to it, but it is good food. It reminds me sort of like an Oreo cookie. Yeah, I like tortillas and stuff, but the stuff in the middle,
There you go.
this is all
Yep.
sweetness and light.
I would have
It-
never thought of doing something like this with salmon, but it is terrific.
nothing fishy about it.
No,
Nothing
none.
fishy at all. Delicious.
I like the mushrooms with the tuna. Or tuna. Listen to this. That's what it's like. I mean, it's so mild. But with that salmon and the mushrooms,
Celery and broccoli?
the people who don't like broccoli couldn't tell.
No,
You know, it's in here.
blended in pretty well.
No, but what it does is it does offer a freshness that, there's a little crunchiness, a little freshness to it that otherwise wouldn't be there. It's absolutely delicious.
I can't wait to try this on Oreos. Can you, Bob?
Hey, I'll tell you what, I'll take those little round ends off, okay? If you want to spread the stuff on it.
Once again, Kathy Beitler discovers another super recipe sent in by a viewer. Salmon burritos are one of the most innovative dishes you'll find. You'll be hard-pressed not to like it. It's in the January-February issue of the Outdoor Digest magazine, packed with articles. Relive those ice fishing tales, a fishing trip where you can catch 40-pound king salmon, see how white-tailed deer react to decoys, the baking soda scam and controversies broiling in the Michigan DNR, all the January-February recipes and entry form for Williams Gun Sight Hunting or our Moosehead Fishing Awards with a full-color trophy book. For a sample copy and information on joining the Outdoors Club, write to me at Box 1000, Bath, Michigan 48808. Ask for the January-February Outdoor Digest. Got one more great tip for you. What do you do around the kitchen after you've made salmon burritos and there's a little bit of a fish odor? Baking soda and water. How about that? The things you learn here. I hope you enjoyed the program, and I hope you join me right here next week for Outdoor Digest. Get outdoors if you can. It's a great place to be. We'll see you next week. Weekly telecast of Outdoor Digest is made possible through the cooperation of this and other public television stations nationwide. Weekly production of the Outdoor Digest television show is a function of Fred Trost's Outdoors Club, promoting public understanding of hunting and fishing, appreciation of wildlife, and enjoyment of our great outdoors. Next week on Outdoor Digest, we're going to repeat a feature that we ran early last fall, if you watched our Michigan Outdoors series, called Go Away Bear. Some home video of Tom Walter, who encountered a bear in Ontario while he was on a fishing trip. Oh, I tell you, it's the scariest feature we've put on TV, one I'm sure you'll enjoy. So join me next week, right here on Public TV.
Get out of here, bear! Get! Get out of here, bear!